A divine shrine like Sabarimala turns into a battleground. Blame game between CPM as well as BJP. One death, several arrests. Many voices that are actually pouring in, but one of the prominent voices are that of TV Mohandas Pai, who's here with us, talking exclusively to MyNation. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
But what is your first initial reaction to this entire thing? You know, the whole political blame game that is going on right now?
Well, I think it's become a political battlefield between the CPIM, a godless, bigoted, violent-born party, and the people of Kerala and the devotees of the Sabarimala shrine. What the CPIM government has done is criminal. They have desecrated the shrine by deceit and deception. In the morning, early morning, they got two women who are suspect, who are supposed to be urban Maoists. One of them is supposed to have criminal cases and some Maoist connection. I think this come in the newspapers. I'm not sure. I'm quoting them. By stealth, they pushed them inside by policemen and the mufti, and they got a cell phone inside and took a video, which is illegal, should not be done, and they desecrated the shrine deliberately to put an arrow into the heart of the devotees. No government can do this. No government can have deceit and deception and desiccate a religious shrine. And that they do it against the Hindu community, against this temple, shows their bigotry, shows their very violent nature and their hatred for Hindus and the Hindu religion. And then they created this very silly wall. And what did you see in the wall? The Jacobite church, as per the Malayalam newspapers, sent 1 lakh women. Now, what do the Christian women have got to do with Swami Ayyappa? If the devotees, they can come and pray. And these women are supposed to have come. And the same church, or the part of the church, did not stand up for Frank in the nun rape case. For 70 days, nothing happened. The CPIM is a party to that, to hurting women. And here, when a woman gets raped, a nun gets raped, they stand still and side with the criminal bishop. And here the church comes out and plays games. And they got Muslim women in a full burqa with a small slit for the eyes to stand up and say, down with Brahmin patriarchy. What do they got to do with Brahmins? What do they got to do with patriarchy? A Muslim woman wearing a burqa is the height of patriarchy. What can be worse? The most oppressive, dress in the world, because they are all forced to do it. It's their choice. I don't want to comment on any religion. But they stand up there. What have they got to do with it? And the CPIM criminals come and put them all. And what do they want to do? They want to put a sword in the heart of the Hindus and turn it round and say, we hate you, we're going to get you, and we don't care a damn about you or your religion. And using the Supreme Court as an excuse. If they have the guts, if they have the courage, let them send the policemen inside the shrine. Let them do what they want to enforce the law. And let the people of Kerala, people of India, stand up in protest. And let's not forget what happened earlier when such things were done. This is a very sensitive matter. It's an emotional matter. You have to let emotions calm down, not be provocative, not use deception, not hurt people. Wait for time. People agitated, wait for time. Because we live in a society. And in a society, there are emotions, there are traditions. You can't ram things through because there's no need for a hurry. Nothing is lost. If you wait for some time for things to calm down and the court case to come up, people to be listened to and see what has to be done. By doing all this thing as if they are the originators of law, if they really stood for the rule of law, what did they do in that rape case?
Also, talking of deceit, yesterday there was a Sri Lankan woman who actually entered the temple. What we believe is that the police had taken the CCTV visual, released it later, and they also asked the woman to say that she was not given darshan initially to all of the devotees. So, deceit again playing a major role.
Deceit and deception. A government cannot do deceit and deception against its own people. It questions the legitimacy of government. It's an illegitimate government run by criminal elements who are out to do things deliberately. And I'm making a very strong statement. I'm very upset. I'm very upset because if you look at the whole case, the case was filed by the Lawyers Collective, which are people of other religions from Delhi. And then all the journalists who are writing, including the famous Barkadar, who wrote a stupid, bad, defamatory article in the Washington Post against the Hindus, maligning an entire community of 1 billion people based on one event, which it does all the time, which is deliberate, which is very biased. She wrote that. They're all North Indians. North Indians don't understand the intensity of devotion the South Indians have for Lord Ayyappa. South Indians have intense devotion. All the people who go there, most of them from South India, they're from Karnataka, they're from Kerala, they're from Tamil Nadu, they're from Andhra Pradesh. The agitations are happening all over South India. South Indians in Delhi have agitated, and it is very important. It's the important thing that we have to sit down and reflect. We have to debate. We have to find a consensus. We got to find some things. And I want to explain about the Supreme Court decision. What are the impact for all this Jebka church and all the Muslim women who are standing there? Let me tell you, never ask for whom the bells toll. The bells toll for thee. And if you understand what the Supreme Court judgment means, you will also stand in opposition. You will also oppose the judgment. So I will tell you in the, later, little bit later, what that is. So I think what has happened is terrible. It's a desecration. Every right-thinking devotee and Hindu should stand up and protest against the deliberate desecration of our holy shrine by a bigoted, by a ill-advised, and a criminally minded CPIM government. We had Brinda Karat standing there in that wall and making those 5-day speeches. We had that Ani Raja making it. Where were both of them and the nun got raped? In the same Kerala, under the CPI government. Did they stand and protest? Did they go around? Why this hypocrisy? Where is the principle? There is no principle. It's hypocrisy. They are playing politics. And people are agitated. Because please remember, people who are devotees take 42 days of wrath. It is very difficult. They take it upon themselves, they go through it. And this is one temple among thousands of Ayyappa temples where women are not allowed. Why is women not allowed? In the Hindu tradition, a temple is the abode of the deity. It is not a place of prayer per se. It is an abode of the deity. When the idol is installed, there are pujas, and the deity is requested to come and reside in the temple. It becomes the house of the deity, the property of the deity. It is recognized under law. It is recognized under law because the deity is a juristic person. The deity can hold property. It is recognized under Indian law. And it belongs to the deity. And there are agamas and there are practices how the deity and the worship should happen. And there are some traditions. And Ayyappa is a celibate. And the rule is that women of non-childbearing age. It's not about menstruation. Menstruation is not something that happens for 30 days in a month. It happens for a few days. It's a natural biological event. But now Barkadatan say, it's against menstruation. Women at 30 is not about that. It's about childbearing woman. Why childbearing woman? Because he's a celibate and he doesn't want to see that. In many of the other Hindu groups, the Swamijis don't interact with women. They don't talk to women. They don't meet women. That's perfectly fine. Because in the Christian tradition, there are monasteries who don't look at women. In the Greece, there's a World Heritage Site where there are only monks and women are not allowed. In Japan, there's an island where men go naked, women are not allowed. There are sacred spaces where women are not allowed. There's sacred spaces of women where men are not allowed. Now, that's the diversity of human thought, diversity of human practices. You can't have uniformity everywhere. Equality is not uniformity. Now, all of them have messed up everything and they're standing for it.
Also, when it comes to the CPM government and the kind of deception that you've been talking about, many of the devotees claim that Pinarayi Vijayan must resign at this point in time.
I think he must resign for creating the desecration, for using deception, and for lowering the dignity of the temple and destroying an icon of Kerala. Please remember, the shrine of Lord Ayyappa is something unique in Kerala. All Kerala should be proud of it because something unique. And a government should be responsible, should not use deception, should not use deceit, should not go against his own people. We are a democracy. We are not a dictatorship of this communist party. We are a democracy. And in a democracy, the chief minister should behave like a statesperson when there is a crisis. You don't ram things down people's throat in a crisis, especially on such a sensitive issue. Now, people compare that to triple talaq. But triple talaq is against all women. It's not in one place. This is one temple among 1 lakhs of temples over India. Thousands of temples in Kerala, one temple. This is against all women. And in triple talaq, the Islamic countries who call themselves Islamic, who follow the Sharia, have banned it as a social practice. So there is no leg for anybody to compare and say, it should be allowed and all that. As for criminalization, which many of these people are fighting because they lost the battle for triple talaq, criminalization, they're making speeches argument. Now dowry is criminalized. Now, when dowry can be criminalized, why can't this be criminalized? And what does the law say? The law says very clearly, if you do triple talaq, you can be hauled up against the court on a complaint filed by the woman who is wronged. Now, if you don't do triple talaq, there is no criminality. It's like dowry. You don't ask for dowry, there is no criminality. So it's not that you're going after men, Muslim men, you're going against Muslim. They're all species argument. They're playing communal politics. And the CPIM is a communal organization because it winks the eye at bad practices in the Christian community and the Muslim community. And now shall I talk to you about the import of the court judgment, Supreme Court judgment?
Before I come to that, I want your opinion on Prime Minister Modi's reaction to the Sabarimala. He, in fact, compared triple talaq as well as Sabarimala, saying that triple talaq is more about gender equality, while Sabarimala is more about traditional
Yes,
beliefs.
Sabarimala is one unique event, one small temple among the lakhs of temple. It is not universal, it's not all across. And even if women don't go there, nothing is lost. Whereas in triple talaq, if the woman becomes a victim, everything is lost. Her whole life is destroyed. A woman's life is not destroyed, it doesn't go there at practices. That's what Nirupama Menon said. So, Nirupama Menon Rao said, who was the former foreign secretary, because the greatest historian of modern India, Ramchandra Goa, made a very silly comparison, like sometimes he does when blood goes to his head, about the Vaikam Satyagraha. And said, this is like the Vaikam Satyagraha. We fought against the Vaikam Satyagraha. The Vaikam Satyagraha was against a casteist tradition whose time has lapsed. Now, caste was something that was there, the time has gone. Now, people don't accept it anymore. Okay? If tomorrow, all devotees say, woman coming is fine, we're willing to live with it, it's fine. They're not willing to accept it. It takes time, whatever be the rationale. Now, he made a comparison, and Nirupama came out openly and said, look, this is not about Vaikam. Vaikam is different. This is about different. This is about the tradition of a celibate deity and the preference celibate deity. Because that temple is the deity's temple. It's not my temple, your temple. It belongs to them. We go there with their leave. Is it a public place where everybody can do what they want? They cannot. If you go there, you have to follow practices. That is it. It's not like the Abrahamic faith where in India every temple is unique. Every temple is unique. Every temple has got certain practices. They wake up the Lord and they have breakfast and they do puja and they worship Him. Then they shut the temple for the afternoon rest. In the evening they wake up with music. Then they open up for darshan where everybody go and have aarti. And in the night the temple is shut and they take the deity and put him to bed. I mean, they do that. Why? They teach him like a natural person with reverence. That is our tradition. We like it. And who is this government to say anything else? Now let me talk about the Supreme Court. People have not understood. Mukul Rohtagi, I think the former Advocate General, I think, he made a TV interview, very fantastic interview. He said the Supreme Court for the first time has placed Article 14 above Article 25, 26, 27. Article 14 is about equality. Everybody is equal. That's a fantastic principle. All of us are equal and that's great. That's the foundation of a democracy. 25, 26, 27 is about freedom of religion. So where they said there's a conflict between the freedom of religion and equality, equality shall prevail. That is the theory they've done, which is a new construct. For the first time, the Supreme Court has said, and that is what the dissenting judge, the lady judge, said it is not possible because we have to have equality between the two and we've got to look at the circumstance of the case. Now, what does it mean? The Catholic Church has a policy or a tradition of having only male priests. Now, because of equality, they cannot deny women the right to be priests. I want to see what happens to the Catholic Church, what happens in the Jacobite Church. Now, cases I'm told have been filed in the Delhi High Court to say that this inequality should go, women should be allowed to become priests. Because in Christianity, there's no discrimination against becoming priests. Protestants have women as priests. This is male, this is, patriarchy, Christian patriarchy, it is height. It is done by tradition. Now, why do people respect tradition? It's been there for 1,500 years. The Christian community who are Catholics are comfortable with it. They are okay with it. Some people protest, but they're okay with it. Leave it to them. But this judgment will open up and make them critical. And tomorrow, a CPIM government may have to do the same thing to enforce it against all its supporters of the various Catholic faiths. And the Jacobite Church is going to face it. Ask not for whom the bells toll. The bells toll for thee, tolling for them. And then, as far as all the Muslim women are concerned, tomorrow they will go to court and say, why can't women be maulis? Why can't prayer be open? Now, if you go to the Kaaba and the Hajj, women and men go together, so they cannot discriminate. So it's not a practice that can allow discrimination. It is not religion, because the Kaaba in the Hajj, they do it, right? And here they discriminate. They don't allow women to pray. In the Jama Masjid, have you seen women coming and pray like men openly? They don't. Now it will be open. So what happened to your tradition? Today you are standing there protesting against Brahmin patriarchy. Tomorrow see your own patriarchy. How is it going to impact you? When it impacts you, what are you going to do? Are you going to stand? Is Barkadat going to stand up for that? Are all the journalists going to stand up for that? All the lawyers going to stand up for that? Is the CPIM going to stand up for that? Is Brinda Karat going to stand up for that and say this must also stop? Women may become priests in the Catholic faith. Are they going to stand up? This is what is going to happen. All are gone because equality. So no religious laws in future. No personal laws. All personal laws are gone because all personal laws with discrimination has gone. That's what the Supreme Court says. And you have to enforce it. Let's see the CPIM government enforce it. Because they're very communal. They're anti-Hindu. They're Hindu-phobic. They're communal. And let us see them enforce it. Will they enforce it? I'm waiting for an answer. Because this is what the import of the judgment. Now you cannot say, when Article 14 is placed about 25, 26, 27, no, it's only for Sabarimala. It cannot be. It is the interpretation of the Constitution. That's the law. And tomorrow somebody goes and applies. You got to do it. And why not? We can ask many people like they do. Send the urban Maoist. Organization can get some people and say, you apply and we'll fight your case. Why not? It's open same for everybody. Can we do this? Now, each community, each religion has some traditions. And if they find that it discriminates totally, for example, many years ago, certain class of people in the Hindu faith are not allowed to go to temples. Everybody agreed it was wrong. Gandhiji protested. Ambedkar protested. He had temple entry marches. Now all temples are open. You can't discriminate. Right? It was a practice based upon whatever it is, but it is gone. Right? Now, under the Hindu law, girls were not entitled to get property which is ancestral. Only the boys got property. Okay? And that is the law. The Supreme Court held 14, 15 years ago that girls have to be treated equally and everybody accepts it. It's true. Why? Because society has evolved, society accepts that. And they feel that that kind of discrimination shouldn't happen. It happened because of various reasons. Because the girl went to a different family, right? And the girl got a lot of jewelry and everything else and separated. There was a link, but it became distant. That's our tradition. Now, the Supreme Court said, no, that is not correct. And all of us, everybody accepts it. Nobody likes it, right? So these things evolve. But in the temple, the devotees of the temple should come together and look at it and say, is this something they should consider? You know, in the Kerala temple, there's a tradition. If there are great questions asked, they go to the Tantri and ask the question of the Lord. And the Lord comes to the Tantri and answers the question. The Tantri gets into a trance. Maybe they should ask the divine question for any reform that has to happen. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm all for there being equality for everybody. Okay? But society is not perfect. And the Constitution recognizes everything is not equal. Constitution recognizes that there can be different classification, there can be different interpretation. Equality is not absolute equality, it's relative equality. Today, women have got separate buses. Women have got separate bogies in railway station. 50% seats are reserved for women in Panchayat. Why should it be? Men should say, let everybody compete. There will be equality. Now in parliament, they want 33% of seats, which I support. But they say, can they go around and say, why should it be? That's the argument they're going to take, because everybody is equal. Now, there are some nuances which have to do. Now, if women of childbearing age were not allowed in all temples in India, I'll be the first one to stand up and say that's wrong. Everybody is equal. But if some temples have something, fine. Now with the Binda current and all of the Barkadat and all these malcontents, will they stand up and say, in the Pingala temple in Kerala, should men also go? Why should only women go? Will they stand up and say? Will they stand up and say? They will not say that. And who came? The bureaucrats who came under the CPIM, because they pushed everybody out. They sent the Kudumbashri, all the women who come, government men, they were forced to come. All the women, senior bureaucrats, many of them are Christians. See the names. Now, people must be careful in the meddle in the traditions of other religions. They will also get it back.
My final question. Mr. Modi is apparently planning to visit Kerala soon. And at the same time, we are also talking of one death that has happened, which is of Sabarimala Karma Samiti person. And there is sanctification or purification rites that have been done, which is also being questioned. Where do you think the solution will lie?
I support the purification rites. The Supreme Court has laid down the law. That's the law. Okay? There is nothing in the Constitution which says we must not protest against an unjust law. Nothing in the Constitution. We are free to protest. We should not abuse the Supreme Court or disrespect the Supreme Court, but you can defer the judgment, and many people defer the judgment, and that's perfectly fine. And if you break the law, we should be punished under the law. That's fine. That's the role of the government. Let them punish people. They'll have political consequences. Let them do it. That's okay. But if people protest, they have a right to protest, and the Tantri has a right to purification. That's the tradition. Let him do it. Let the government say the purification is wrong. Let the government say, let's see what happens. And let's then debate whether freedom of religion and tradition is more important than anything else. Let's debate. So I support the purification because there is a unique temple. I support that.
Will this reflect in the Lok Sabha elections?
Well, I think it should reflect because let me tell you one thing. In the UPA era, Hindus were marginalized, Hindus were attacked. Evangelicals had free reign. Go down to the coast of Andhra Pradesh, go down to the coast of Tamil Nadu, you'll see what havoc the evangelicals had done. They got money to FCNRA, they were from America, they came here and they bought people. There was a marketing for souls. They had a document also which says we want to convert 100 million people. And if you look at that great evangelist and the great malcontent, John Dayal, there's an article which is written to say the number of Christians who are reckoned at 3.2 crores in our last survey is wrong. They're actually 7.5 crores. They're all crypto Christians. And he is a person who's an evangelist. He went before the US Congress to give evidence against India. To say India is intolerant, blah, 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 and the Christians are discriminated against. That's rubbish. He did that actually. I don't mind any Indian criticizing us everywhere else. But you should not go before a foreign government and give evidence against your own country. That to my mind is treachery. That should not be allowed. When those 70 MPs wrote to Clinton or Obama not to give a visa to Modi, I protested, said, they are MPs, they sworn to uphold the Constitution. You can't go before a foreign government. You can't write against your own Indian. You can defer, you can do what you want in the country. You can't, that is treachery. You can't allow that. Now, will Americans allow American citizens to petition Putin against their own country? Will they allow it? Have you seen what will happen? Will the Americans allow that? And these people don't understand. Now, it will have repercussions. The UPA era, Hindus have been discriminated, lots of evidence. There has been pampering of minorities, pampering of fundamentalists, okay? And evangelists have been pampered. Now the money flow has come down, so it is coming down. These evangelists abuse the Hindu faith. If you don't believe me, go to the YouTube, check up all the videos and find how they abused. I saw a video where they converted poor people who were promising them money and made them urinate on broken photographs of Lord Ram. Now will you allow it in any religion? Shouldn't we get angry at that? And they were abusive. They're criminal element. They come on a tourist visa and then they do all this illegal activity which is totally wrong. They must obey the law. Now, many things happen. So among the Hindus, there is a development of victimhood. Hindus are angry. Educated Hindus, young Hindus are angry, barring those Delhi University, JNU types who are, who are gone bonkers. The Hindus, young Indians are angry. Their identity is being attacked. We all feel educated. I'm highly educated, highly accomplished. Let me tell you, I feel I'm being discriminated in my country. I'm being demeaned for my faith. My identity is being questioned. And I'm made to feel a lesser citizen of this country. Now, is it true? Is it in fact? Yes, there are a lot of evidence. But the emotion is much higher. Now, how this emotional burst out, we have to see. Because what? And the UPA one did. That's why A.K. Anthony, when they had the report about why the UPA didn't win the election, said people accused them of minority appeasements. Okay? And let me tell you how the UPA Congress government discriminates. I am a minority under Article 2930 because minorities means linguistic minority, religious minorities. But as a linguistic minority, I don't have any government benefits. It's only given on religion. It's a discrimination. We want to fight in the Supreme Court. I'm a minority and I should get some benefits. Now, like anybody else. But why they're not giving it? Because the linguistic minorities are largely Hindus. So again, discrimination against Hindus. So there's a lot of discrimination and it goes back to the second elections where the Congress was losing or diminishing. So they broke up the Hindu community into various castes, stampeded the Muslims with the fear, oh, we should protect you, others will go after you because the partition fears are there, and created this thing. So Congress divides India into groups and patches some coalition. The Samajwadi Party does that, everybody does that, Bahujan Party also did that and came out and create this deprivation culture, keeps them poor and comes to power. Modi was the first person who consolidated the Hindu vote. And that's why I think they come to power. So now we see this consolidation of the Hindu vote happening. We see many Hindus coming and questioning all these parties, exposing them for the communal agenda, for everything else. In Karnataka, the Congress government celebrated Tipu Jayanti. Tipu was a killer, a bigot, a jihadi. His writings are there. He destroyed my Konkani temples. He killed the Kauravas. He marched 20,000 Muslim Catholics to Sharangapatna. 10,000 went back. The history is very clear. The Mandyam Iyengars were butchered in that holy Melkote or somewhere. 870 of them butchered. These are criminal acts. You can't celebrate that. The Congress party wants to celebrate, let them celebrate. It's a communal party. But government should not do it because we are citizens. You should not do that. Certain things you don't do. But they do that. So I think Hindus are feeling angry. Young people are feeling angry. Educated people are feeling angry. And you see it out. That's why this Lutyens media, the small elite who tried to rule this country, who benefited from everything else, they are being marginalized slowly. Even though the left is coming up, they're going on a campaign, they're getting exposed, they're being marginalized. So I think in the new Lok Sabha that may come up, certainly these issues are going to become a big issue. Because if you talk about attacks on your temples, on your holy shrines, the Hindus, are definitely large number of Hindus are going to come out and they're going to feel upset.
Thank you so much, sir, for this. So that was Mr. Mohandas Pai claiming that devotees, Ayyappa devotees are hurt, Hindus are hurt, and this will definitely reflect in the Lok Sabha elections. With video journalist Abu Bakr Pratibha Raman for MyNation.